Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and that is Nissan's big body-on-frame SUV. That is the 2023 Nissan Armada. And in this video, I'm going to take you on a quick tour of this one, tell you why you may want to shop this against the segment leader Chevy Tahoe, and even its equivalent comparison vehicle from another Japanese automaker, Toyota, with the brand new Sequoia. Stay tuned. All right, gearheads, before we get too far into this one, I do want to thank my friends over at Nissan for delivering this one to us to test for a full week for you here on this channel and on our premium second channel, GT Premium Reviews. Go find that on YouTube. We also have our family review coming out later this week where Holly gives you her impressions from behind the wheel, and I installed Tucker's child seat not only in the second row, but in the third row as well. Definitely stick around to watch all of those. But since I've got the hood popped on this one, let's go ahead and talk about what lies under the hood. So first, we have gas struts that hold this up. No prop rod on this one, which is a huge win. And the next thing, that right there, V8, naturally aspirated 5.6 liter endurance V8, making 400 horsepower, 413 pound-feet of torque, made it to a 7-speed automatic, and in our model, putting that power down to all four wheels because we do have a four-wheel drive version of the platform, but you can get a two-wheel drive as well. In a segment where so many competitors are ditching a V8 for a turbocharged V6, we look at the Sequoia with its 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. We look at Ford with its 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. We look at Chevrolet with their 3 liter turbo inline inline 6 turbo diesel. And then, yes, 2 V8 options. Those are really the only other V8 options in this class are the 5.3 and the 6.2 from Chevy, GMC, and Cadillac. This really is one of the last names in the game when it comes to a V8 powered body-on-frame big 3-row SUVs. And for me, well, I really like it. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you one of its killer features just to get it out of the way. There is 0 engine start stop on this vehicle when you are in traffic. So when you turn the vehicle on, the engine is on until you push that off button there behind the steering wheel. So this really is a good engine platform. Closing the hood, we can talk about style of this. So the Armada was heavily refreshed for the 2021 model year, and coming here into 2023, not a lot has changed. Most of what is new for 23 moving into 24 is the fact that they have partnered with Amazon, and this has Amazon Alexa built in. But we can talk more about that when we move inside. Otherwise, this is the second generation of the Nissan Armada platform. The previous version borrowed heavily from the Titan on which it was based, both styling inside and out. This one is much more a rebadged Infiniti QX80 or a domestic market Nissan Patrol, if you want to look at it this way. So the family resemblance to the Titan pickup truck, which sadly will come to an end at the end of the 24 model year, is gone away here in the second generation. And for 2021 and up, we get this very cleaned up, very refreshed look. You get the LED headlights up front, running lights, turn signals, a very clean, modern look to the Nissan V-Motion grille. The pre-refreshed version had a 3-segment grille. This has this big, massive, one giant opening here in the front for the grille. Every opening in the grille is actually open. There is no fake grille work on this vehicle. That is a nice touch that you really don't see anymore. The Sequoia has a lot of fake grille work on it, Not so here on the Armada. I'm going to be talking a lot about the Sequoia because we recently tested a platinum trim Sequoia, and this is a platinum trim of the Armada, being that they're both imported brands in the big 3-row segment. They really are competing pretty closely against each other behind Chevy and Ford in those leader spots. And I think Nissan does a lot right with this one. This is proof that just because something is old doesn't mean it is not good. This thing is the oldest platform in the bunch, in the mix, in the segment, but I would have to beg that it is one of the best, and we'll just keep getting into that the further into this review we go. Coming down here to the wheels and the tires, we have 22-inch wheels. They are a kind of dark graphite finish with a clear coat on them, wrapped in Bridgestone Dueler HT tires. I will say for a 22-inch tire option, there is actually quite a bit of sidewall on this. And I'll actually bring you in here to show you that they are 275/50 R22s. So yes, still quite a bit of sidewall, but a very nice classy look, especially against this gray paint. This is a very subdued color combination option, but it does work very well. Our platinum trim also gets the standard fixed in place running boards that mold in nicely to the overall design of the side of this vehicle. There's not a lot of styling going on the side of this vehicle. There aren't a lot of sculpting lines, curves, creases, or anything like that. The emphasis of less is more really applies here, because if it's there, it serves a function or a purpose. If it's not there, well, it didn't need to be there. Like this, right up here, these fender vents. So many manufacturers are putting those on just for glamour or just to have something here on this panel, but on the Armada, these are actually functional heat extractors for that 5.6 under the hood. So again, if it's here, it actually does something, it means something, and I really like that. Coming back to the back of the vehicle, Chevys and Tahoes, Chevy Tahoes, Suburbans, and the like, all have that black removable panel here because it does double duty as a police patrol vehicle. It also has to share a platform with the Cadillac Escalade with its tall taillights, and it just kind of gives a lesser design element back here on the back of Chevys and Tahoes, where this is a much more cohesive built-in look here on the Armada. It is very nice. I will say perhaps one downfall of the design is just how far that rear bumper sticks out. We'll talk more about that when we open up the hatch here in just a second. But coming around to the back, we have updated taillights that mimic the design of the headlights up front. And we have LED turn signals on this one as well, LED taillights, LED, all the things on this one. You can see we've got a wiper on the back. The glass does not open independently of the hatch, but there is a nice trick feature up here. This houses the rear view camera mirror. So there is actually, if you look way up there in the front of the vehicle, you can actually see, hello, the image coming from the camera behind the glass here, which is protected from the weather and the elements. I will say, driving this home at night, it did look like it was covered in a layer of Vaseline. I don't know what it was. It's just not a great night camera, but it works exceptionally well during the day. We get Armada spelled out very big back here on the back, as well as Platinum on the lower hatch down there. This is a power opening hatch, and it does a good job of opening up very wide for you, but it is a little on the slow side, I've noticed. And that opens the back up to a rather decent rear cargo area, even with the third row of seats up. This falls short of the Tahoe's newly found 25 cubic feet of storage space, but it does a really good job against the competitor from Toyota. Here we get 16.5 cubic feet of storage space, and it's usable storage space. If you go and watch our Sequoia video, it is about half as deep back in the back here, and they had to have a tray to really maximize the use of space back here, and that gets 11.5 cubic feet. It does have some trick sliding rear seats that give you a little bit of more cargo space. They say up to 22.3 behind the rear seats in that Sequoia, but I really don't believe it. We can come over here and push these two buttons right here to power fold that third row down. Again, the story, just like with the hatch, they are a little on the slow side, but when you do that, you get 49.9 cubic feet of storage space back here. So you can see just how cavernous it is compared to the 49 even in the back of the Sequoia. Fold that second row down and we get 95.4 cubic feet, which definitely trumps the 86.9 in the Sequoia. So this really is the storage monster between this and the competition from Toyota. I'm going to go ahead and push the button for these to come out, because I will go ahead and call out the third row does have a top tether here on the passenger side only. No lower latches down below. So you are going to be using the seatbelt method to install a child seat here in the back row, but it's nice to know that give you at least one top tether. Underneath my backpack here, I'm actually going to go ahead, pull that out of the way. We do get a little additional storage underneath the cargo floor here. So very interestingly, we get like this flimsy little piece of felt that separates storage from more storage. This is where you get all your tire changing gear. I will say with the 22s on our Platinum model, we do not get a full-size spare. Lower trims do, but this Platinum model does not get a full-size spare. So just want to call that out. Now, I am 5 foot 10 inches tall, and you can see this hatch opens a fair amount up above me. So I'm not worried about hitting my head. There are some vehicles that don't have quite as big an opening, but I really like it. And then Nissan puts the buttons for opening and closing here on the hatch lid. So if you are vertically challenged, this is going to be slightly over 6 foot to reach. Just know that you can also do it from the key fob. Before we hop into this one, I do want to show you the key. It is your typical Nissan key that they've had for decades. Yes, plural, decades. I like it. I think it is the best proximity key in the business, just because they're able to do everything with this in a small cylinder package, and it is very easy to slip into your pocket, your purse, wherever you keep your keys that, well, you don't need to actually start the vehicle. You can see we've got lock, unlock, your hatch release, a panic button, and even remote start, all here on the key fob. Huge plus, but as I mentioned, it is a proximity key, so you don't need to actually have it out. Coming up to the vehicle, you can see this little chrome button right here. That's what locks and unlocks the vehicle. So no passive entry to speak of, where you just put your hand on the back of the door, but you can lock and unlock it from there. You can see it is not here on the back door, so if you want to get into the back, you have to give it a double press to unlock and get into the back. So if you've got kids, just something to note there. We'll talk more about the back seat here in just a moment, but let's go ahead and open up the front doors and talk about what we've got in here in this Platinum trim. We've got leather everywhere, leather on the doors, leather on the seats, this nice chocolate brown, and they've done a nice work just to make this feel like home on the inside with the way they stitch and sew this all together. We also get some, I've got to guess that that is fake wood accents throughout the interior of this one. 2-person memory driver seat here, automatic windows all the way around on this. Your mirror controls, you can power fold them, your locks and your window lockouts all right there. We do get a little extra storage down here, but not multi-level like in the Chevys, like in the Sequoias of the world. Coming around to the seats, you can see we've got multi-position power seat with a 2-way lumbar, so no 4-way lumbar on this one, but nice to know that you have at least a little bit of lumbar support with these overstuffed.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that's the stuff.
This really reminds me of Joey and Chandler's apartment. They are very big, they are very comfortable.
Do we dare?
We dare.
Oh.
And again, they are just a little old school. in their approach. It seems like modern vehicles are trying to slim down seats as much as possible, but Nissan gives you nice big chunky seats that are rather comfortable to sit in when you climb inside. Getting inside, I'm going to go ahead and push the engine start button here. Let that Endurance V8 whir to life. And we'll go across the dash showing you everything that we've got on here. So this comes standard with Nissan's Safety Shield 360, and you can control that right there. Heated steering wheel. There is your hatch release, and you can turn off the power function of it. Again, going to the old school nature of this vehicle, even the emergency brake on this, no electronic parking brake on this, is a push on, push off. I like it. There's so much simplicity to the design of this vehicle. It harkens back to a time that we are just so fast racing away from. But just because it's old does not mean that it does not work well. I've liked this vehicle very much. You can see we get analog gauges with a 7-inch helper screen there in the middle with rear seatbelt alert, so you can tell what seats are latched, which aren't. This even has traffic sign recognition, so you can see posted speed limit will be recorded right there in the middle. And then we can actually page through a lot of different screens here, but that comes with one of my biggest complaints on the inside of this vehicle. The tech just seems a little bit outdated, and the information that you can pull up in front of you just it isn't my favorite. This isn't the best layout, but it is familiar to other Nissan products. We just had the Pathfinder Rock Creek. I just wish maybe Nissan would go the route of Chevrolet and admit that they don't know how to do infotainment and car technology, as well as tech companies, and reach out to Google and use Google built-in, because as much as I am an Apple fanboy, General Motors products with Google built-in just work really well because Google knows how to build screens and interfaces and things like that. Otherwise, here on the steering wheel, we get our radio controls, our cruise controls. This does have adaptive cruise control, which is really nice. I have put, you can see, almost 230 miles on this one so far, and it is done well for me all the way around. Coming up here, I do want to call out, I showed you where the camera is back in the back, but we do have a rear view camera mirror in this one, so that helps eliminate all the headrests or heads or boxes, whatever you might have back behind you in the second row, behind the third row. With a flip of a switch here, you get a clear view out back from that back window. It is a nice touch. Moving down, we have a 12.3-inch touchscreen infotainment here. Sadly, though, this kind of goes back to what I was saying, hire out Google, because in the General Motors products, they too have this kind of dual element screen, but you can just swipe here and pull through different options, whereas here in the Nissan, you have to dig through a few menus to change what is over here on this side. We do have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This screen is immaculate. It's clear, crisp, and bright. I've had no complaints with the screen. It's just the technology behind it that I'm not a big fan of. Big volume and tuning knobs up here, really like that. The air vents do a great job of pumping out air, and Nissan does a really cool thing with this button right here that you may be wondering, what on earth does it do? I was wondering myself. If you look back behind the screen here, this is another air vent that helps pump air up and over the dash and bring it back to you. So it gives you a nice, cool environment when you get into the Armada. Otherwise, we get heated and ventilated seats up front, but I can't tell from over here if this passenger seat is turned on at all, because all the buttons are hidden by the dual zone climate control. This is actually a tri-zone climate control, because we can go to rear air controls. We can control it from here or back in the back. Very nice. I like the physical controls for it all. Works very nice. We've got Armada spelled out here with more of that fake wood, which hide a Qi wireless charger and some additional power back here. I really like when wireless CarPlay cars have wireless chargers. Both seem to work very well. This is one that will get your phone a little warm, but it will at least hold the charge, if not add to the charge while you're using Waze or something that's kind of battery intensive with wireless CarPlay. Underneath it, we have a built-in trailer brake control. Tow rating on this is 8,500 pounds across the board. USB-A and USB-C, both of those interface with the infotainment screen, so you have your choice right there. We are equipped here with automatic 4-wheel drive, 4 high or 4 low. There is no option for 2-wheel drive in this one. We do have a snow mode and a tow mode, and you can turn traction off. This does have a 7-speed automatic with a actual mechanical gear selector here. And when you put it in reverse, that triggers the 360 cameras in this. The cameras themselves are a little grainy, which don't take full advantage of the crispness of the screen. They also don't employ the entire screen. Again, this area just seems to be underutilized. I'm not quite sure what all that is about. This does have rear emergency braking, which for us with our steep driveway, we have to turn it off every single time. But I can tell you that every time you cycle the vehicle, it turns that back on. That may be a deal breaker or that may be a lifesaver for some. I'll let you decide. But you can go ahead and put it back in park there. We do have some additional controls here, including a physical button to access those cameras. So I like that very much. You can also go back to your menu and dig through a bunch of different things here. And you also have this rotary knob to control the screen as well, back button. Pretty much an easy way to interface with that screen up there without having to get your fingerprints all over it. Under here, we have a couple cup holders that do have adjustments for larger or smaller drinks. That's a nice touch. And then the center console here, very nice center console with this bin that can be pushed on either side. We have controls for the household style power outlet on the back, and it is all felt lined. So if you put something hard plastic in there, it won't rattle. While we're talking about storage, we get a decently wide glove box, but not very tall or deep. So not a lot of storage going on in there. Again, I talked about just how comfortable these chairs are, but coming around to me, showing you my seating position in this at 5'10", this does have a power tilt telescoping steering wheel, so that's a nice touch. I've got plenty of headroom, plenty of room all the way around in this, and that is partly due because we only have a standard size sunroof in this. We don't have a large panoramic sunroof, which that really benefits the second row passengers more than the front row. So let's go ahead and hop back there, see what the second and third rows are like. All right, coming back to the back doors on the Armada, you open it up. Pretty much exactly what you would expect based on the front seat. Same seat style here, that overstuffed comfort home furnishing type chair.
I can't believe 2 cows made the ultimate sacrifice so you guys could watch TV with your feet up.
Well, they're chair-shaped cows. They never would have survived in the wild.
With the same style upholstery here on the door, so you are not a second-class citizen back here in the second row. And we'll note just how thin these doors are. There's not a lot of heft to them, which really means Nissan is making the most of the interior packaging of this very large vehicle. It is a big vehicle, but you actually feel like you're getting use of all the space on the inside. One downside to just how thin these doors are there are no sunshades back here. So that platinum trim of the Sequoia we had did have sunshades back here. It also had a very wide ledge for laying your arm, but this is a very narrow door panel here on this one. I'm gonna go ahead, hop in and close the door just because it is quite warm, and show you that we have map pockets on both of the front seats up here. And in our model, we do have 8-inch color DVD player screens back here. You can mirror them to each other. There are HDMI inputs, USB inputs, even an SD card slot. There's a power button up here. It does come with a wireless remote and 2 wireless headphones so that your rear passengers can take full advantage of that. Tucker has not gotten to use these screens, so I really can't talk too much to them. But I know, again, just like the infotainment stuff up front, what little I've used them, it just feels a little dated on the tech side, the interface, using them, and Nissan really could use a partnership like what General Motors has with Google. I do love the placement of the air vents here on the side, on the ceiling, give you a nice airflow back here to the passengers. Chevy puts them up here. I think Toyota does as well. That's a little more in your face when it comes to airflow, but I really like them here on the side. And that is true all the way back to the third row. You cannot completely turn those third row vents off, but you can point them to the back of your head here in the second row. So that's a nice touch as well. Again, we talked about the door panels being the same as the front. We do get tri-zone climate controls in this vehicle as well. So everything is back here on the back. Heated outboard captain's chairs. I'm going to do my best to show you way down low here. We do have some power, including a household style plug here and a cigarette style plug here with some USB ports down low. They're really hard to see from the seating position up front. If there's something in the center console that you want as a rear seat passenger, Nissan builds in this forward hinge so that you can get into the center console yourself and get whatever you might need from the center console and close it. It does make opening it from the front a little difficult just because there is that hinge mechanism on the front that you have to take into account. Here on our Platinum trim, we get a full center console, more of that wood trim, 2 cup holders here, a very deep center console here that is felt lined as well. And this is where the headphones and remote were when we got this vehicle. If you want to see me install Tucker's child safety seat, absolutely subscribe so you see our family review when it drops later this week. Coming to me, you can see I'm quite comfortable. These seats do recline. I'm in the upright position right now. I've got no complaints, but it's nice to know you can get really comfortable back here in the second row. Very, very comfortable seats. I just wish these were also ventilated. That's another one that Sequoia gets up on this. So if that is a deal breaker for you, maybe look at Sequoia. But now let's check out that third row. And for that, we're going to pop out. And I'm actually going to show you right over my shoulder here is the latch to tilt and tumble the second row seat forward, which gives you a massive access to the third row seat. Unfortunately, does not work with the child seat in place. With that center console, it's not like you can go around it. But we do have a 3 across third row here in the Armada. If you're going to sit back here, I highly recommend putting these massive headrests up into place because the seat back is very low, so these aren't very tall. You can see, just like I showed you when we were in the back, they are 60-40 split. There are no lower latch points back here for child seats, but one of the trick features back here, go ahead and get behind Tucker's seat over here, is they are power recline. So that's nice. Not only do they power fold forward, but they power recline. And I'll go ahead and show you here. My knees are not touching the seat in front of me as it is right now. These don't slide. So if the person here wants to recline, then he's definitely going to be in my knees, which is a little bit of a deal breaker. I wish there were some sort of sliding mechanism on these so that you can really do those negotiations, but otherwise it is a nice second, third row combination. My knees are up a little bit, but not a whole lot. I would say perhaps the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer are the best body on frame 3-row SUV that you can get because the seating position in those is very chair-like. That's enough of the interior tour. Let's hop out now and see what this thing is like to drive. Getting in and driving the Armada, this thing really is an easy vehicle to pilot. First thing that I want to call out above anything else is visibility. So the first thing you notice getting into the vehicle is, while yes, it may be a very big body on frame SUV, is you can see up and over. Like, visibility out of this is excellent. I am sitting above the hood. I can see all corners of the vehicle in front of me. I can see all around. The windows are big. They don't come up too high. Visibility in this thing is really, really good. And I was in a crossover SUV before this that didn't have nearly this level of visibility. Again, you just feel like you're sitting up above everything, including the rest of this vehicle. So some might complain about that, but I would say this really does help you see everything. And if you do intend to take this off-road, it's even better because you can see all the obstacles around you. Though I wouldn't really recommend it with these 22-inch wheels and tires. There's quite a bit of sidewall for a 22, but still, those aren't the off-road tires I would choose if I plan to take it off-road. Otherwise, it is a very comfortable vehicle to get in and drive. Another thing I will note, perhaps the killer feature of this vehicle that we are experiencing right now is there is no engine start-stop on this 5.6 Endurance V8. When it is on, it is on. It does not power off in traffic to save you fuel economy because it is an older style V8 engine and it just works the way vehicles should work. You don't have to wait for it to come back on after lifting your foot off the brake. It's just there. And this 7-speed is really ready to keep you in the power band right where you need it to be to make the most of those 400 ponies and that 413 pound-feet of torque. I have never felt power starved in this vehicle. It is big, it is heavy, but it does not starve you for power. It does not feel like the giant lug that it is in the power department. This thing is peppy and fun to drive. It's no race car, but it'll move. It'll move when you need it to. And that's really good. Merging onto traffic, trying to get around slow traffic, trying to avoid situations around you. That is really good in this. To the detriment of no engine start-stop, though, the fuel economies, fuel economy numbers are a little on the low side. So we have 13 city, 18 highway, 15 combined. We are seeing over that across the board. On my trip home from Dallas in this, I saw over 18 mpg on the highway at Texas highway speeds. If you know what that is, you know. And here in city traffic, we are seeing over the EPA estimated 13 mpg. So it is getting better fuel economy numbers than the Windows sticker. It is very easy to get into a comparison number on paper between this and the Tahoe or this and the Sequoia, because those are the obvious choices that you would pair this up against. And this undercuts both of them in price. And while it has less power, again, it feels more readily available than either of those vehicles. I've driven, well, every powertrain in the Chevy lineup, from the 5.3, the 6.2, and that 3-liter Duramax diesel. And I've tested that twin-turbo V6 in the Sequoia. This really is my preference. It's everything you would expect in a package that is a big body-on-frame 3-row SUV. It just works as expected. It is a good, tried and true, honest to goodness, the way they used to make them. Yes, I know I'm getting old and crotchety. V8.
I'm elderly and infirm.
I really like it. It works. Hands down. Again, visibility as you get out with this rear view camera mirror, even with it in rear view mirror mode, is really good. You've got a big wide window back behind you with those back headrests down. You can see out very nicely. The slenderness of the sides mean you have full visibility out over both of your shoulders, looking through the back windows. It really is just a good SUV all the way around. And then this has something that Chevy didn't even have until its most recent redesign, and that is 4-wheel independent suspension. The ride on this is surprisingly good. It is not Cadillac supple.
No.
With its Magna ride or anything like that, but we do have load leveling rear suspension for towing, for hauling, and a rather smooth 4-wheel independent suspension. The ride on this is head and shoulders above what we experienced in the Toyota Sequoia Platinum. This is definitely a better overall living with, driving it with experience than that Toyota Sequoia. Really, the only thing the Sequoia has over that, over this, in my book, Rear sunshades in the rear doors, ventilated second row captain's chairs, and slightly better fuel economy, but I would take that hit for this V8. It really is that good. This vehicle proves that just because something's old doesn't mean it's not any good.
Order now. You get the camera, you get the printer, 4x optical zoom, Snyder lens, photo.
Nissan really has a gem with this vehicle, and I have come to love it more than I expected when this one showed up for us to test. It really has been a blast. I'm actually going to be really sad to see this one go. If you want to see more from us, including Holly's review behind the steering wheel coming up later, where I put Tucker's child seat not only in the second row, but in the third row, and I also test its rear-facing fit for the front seat passenger, be sure and hit that subscribe button down below, ring the bell so you're notified when that video drops later this week. Go find our second channel, GT Premium Reviews, on YouTube, because we have a full cinematic quality video of this where I'm actually riding in the back. I am being chauffeured in this big boat and truly get to experience what it's like in all positions in this vehicle, because it is, I'll face it, it's a floaty vehicle. It really goes in well with that Armada name, which an Armada is a fleet of warships. This very much feels like a warship. So gather a bunch of your friends with Armadas and intimidate the rest. But as for us, go find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com. But as for me, behind the wheel of the 2023 Nissan Armada in the Platinum trim, until next time, gearheads, bye.